All right, awesome. Thank you, Karen. So wonderful to see you in front of me again. And welcome to all of you, everyone joining us. Especially welcome to those of you who are new to our Medicine Buddha practice and new to me. And I'm Lama Rod, and I am here, right, in the solar eclipse energy. And I am extremely sensitive to eclipse energy. So we're going to see what happens tonight. Um, the eclipse is coming around in the Eastern time zone a little after 5, I think 5:45, I think, in the morning. Um, and as you know, this is the beginning, the end of the beginning of the fire horse year. Right. So this is the Lunar New Year, and which we've been preparing for all weekend. And as the energy of fire comes, it's also bringing, with the astrology, death and rebirth. Um, as one of my friends puts it, it's we're being reborn while still alive. Right? So that means we're going to feel it all. Right. And so this is important. Um, and we're going to try to do some practice to help us meet um, this energy as well. But this is extremely potent. Fire energy. We know what fire is. We know the element, and it is not coming to play with any of us. Right. And so my whole perspective here is to meet this energy with reverence and respect, to let go of resistance and to say yes, right? As I was telling Karen before we started the session, I never have the good sense to like slow down during eclipses. I just keep speeding forward. But this time something was like, you have to drop everything, and really like hold the space, right? Um, this is the rebirth, right? This is the work, the energy of rebirth is some of you joined me on Saturday for our in-person retreat here in Atlanta. And we talked about, resurrection and rebirth, how like resurrection magic is one of the strongest forms of magic and rituals, right? Like the phoenix, we talked about the phoenix on Saturday. It's like you're being burnt down to nothing, and then you choose to lift yourself up from that, to be reborn from the ashes, right? Letting go of the person we used to be um, is part of this. So that means it's also about grieving as well. I mean, this is a lot. There's a lot happening right now, like grief, rebirth, right? The intensity of fire in this moment of collapse, right? In this moment of having to live with people who maybe don't know how to hold this energy, right? Um, And so this is a lot for us to take on, but we can take it on. We have what we need to do this, right? Um, but again, I just want to emphasize the practice of surrender, right? To offer yourself to the fire, right? Not to push it away, but to see the fire as a blessing, right? Because the fire is only coming to take what is no longer needed, which again is who we think we are, but not who we really are. It's time to like burn down and these like illusions and these deceptions, and to and to kind of incinerate all these blocks that keep us from being in relationship to the truth of things, right? To the heartbreak, right? And to learn how to like to sit at the fire, right? And to feel the fire as medicine, right? And this is what we're being called to right now. This is, and of course, there's other kind of convergences in the astrology as well. I'm not going to attempt to to repeat some of this, something about something being in convergence at 0 degrees in Aries. That's all I got. Right. And this hasn't happened for 9,000 years. Right. So, astrology is my next area that I'm going to get into. But until then, I have no language, so I have to rely on my astrologer friends, to support this, right? But this hasn't happened in 9,000 years, right? And so this is particularly really like intense, right? 0 degree Aries, yeah. Um, and Aries is like the god of war in Greek mythology, Roman mythology. Right. So I feel like there's some fighting. Like when I hear Aries, I hear fight, struggle, resistance. Um, hmm. Yeah, so how are you feeling? Let's do, if you want to check in the chat, but how are you doing? What's going on? How's your heart? Right? How's your grief? How's your anger? Right? Are you making it? Are you holding on? Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. So I'm just looking through all the comments. Everything's moving really quickly, so I'm just kind of glancing. Um, yeah, I'm seeing, a lot of different kinds of shares, from grieving to holding on to like worries about different things, grief and gratitude. Um, some first time folks. Hmm. Some people feeling good. And I wonder, right, first, and we do this check-in on purpose, right? Because you have to begin practice by telling the truth about where you're at, right? No matter where you're at, you have to touch into that truth. This is what I'm experiencing in this moment. And to even acknowledge what you're experiencing in the moment is, quite frankly, an advanced practice, right? It's the first stage of our practice, but it's actually quite advanced because so many people don't know how they're feeling. You know, sometimes I ask people how they're feeling, and they give me every word besides a feeling word. Right. We did a little bit of this on Saturday. It was just like we were talking about how we were doing. I was like, okay, I want to hear a feeling now. How do you feel? Right. But beginning at the beginning of saying, yeah, this is where I'm at, right? Because that's where the practice is going to begin, is where we're at. Right? Hmm. Feeling tense and pain. Tired, fuzzy. You know, some of you are very sensitive to eclipse energy as well. So that's also the acknowledgement there, right? If you're a healer, or an energy worker, um, you're feeling this really strongly. If you're if you're an emotional processor, right, and that's part of your like your modality, then this is really can feel overwhelming. Feeling like you're in a bottle about to pop. Yeah, that's the pressurizing of everything. Yeah, that's the release that we have to move into. Uh, Sacral chakra. Oh, interesting. Yeah, the sacral chakra. Hmm. So it's there's something to do with the erotic as well, the energy of the erotic, which is very associated with fire, the sacral and the solar plexus, being on top of each other. Of course, below is the root chakra, home, right? So the erotic, power, and home, the lower chakras. It's really interesting. You know, shame. Yeah. The heat, the fire in this context, right? It's so often related to shame, right? It's related really to anything that kind of hovers or encapsulizes the erotic energy. I think about ginger, for instance, the herb ginger, right? Ginger is such it's a fire herb, right? It's potent, right? But it cuts through the woundedness around the erotic, around sexuality, right? So I would, if this is River Rio, River Rio is if this is who I'm talking to. I don't know because I'm just looking at people's names. So if this is Rio, my Rio, yes, Rio. So yeah, I mean, you know this. You're an herbalist, so you know this. Oh no, you're not Rio, not that Rio. But this, okay, this is for everyone then, right? If you're feeling that kind of intensity around shame, for instance, I would have some ginger and peppermint, a little bit of honey, a sip on that, right? That can be very grounding, right? That heat, getting that heat into some of these blocks in the body is so healing, right? I want to practice with some of this energy today as well. I'm feeling the heat as well. Like it's funny. I'm sitting here. I'm getting warm. Like like I'm feeling the warmth already. So it's really interesting, right, to experience this. Um, so as we go into practice and also in general, as we go into this eclipse, right, what do you need to let go of? What do you need to surrender? Right. So I see a lot of things happening in the chat in terms of surrender. Yeah. What do you need to offer to the fire? So I just feel like, you might as well just give it up, just offer it because it's gonna take it anyway, right? As we were talking about suffering yesterday, Sunday service, we have pain and suffering, right? The pain is gonna be there. Like that's always we are embodied beings. We're going to experience the sensation of pain. But the suffering in Buddhism is a choice that we're making. And the suffering comes from resistance, right? And so what I've learned to do is to enter into this attitude of offering, generosity, right? Like you don't have to take it from me. I will offer it. Right. Like when we do fire ceremony, and we did one on Saturday too, like when you go to the fire, how do we enter into dialogue with the fire in a sense of deep generosity, deep openness, right? How do we recognize that we're tired of holding on to shit, right? And how do you name that and then just give it up, surrender it to the fire, and let the fire tend to the transformation of these energies. Because the fire doesn't destroy, fire transforms, it transmutes, it moves, it opens, right? We need to be open, right? We're feeling tightness, but as we were just talking about the sacral, we're feeling like the pressure, we're feeling things kind of held, right? And we need help to release that energy, right? It's the attitude, right? It reminds me of what Lotus was offering us yesterday at Sunday service when they were talking about the attitude. Which was such a beautiful offering yesterday, the attitude, which has really struck me because I really need to hear that. The attitude, we need a different attitude to the work, to the pleasure, as Lois was talking about. We need an attitude towards pleasure that's like really like liberatory, right? And the same thing here is the same practice, the attitude of surrender, of opening, the attitude of letting go. I no longer need this. Right? What do you no longer need? You know? Yeah, definitely let go of treating practice seriously because that's always going to be a dead end. We get so serious about practice, right? That's just the ego controlling more stuff, you know? You have to enter into practice with this attitude, right? Really an attitude of surrender. Whatever happens, happens. Because if you develop the attitude of surrender, you're already practicing, right? You've started the practice, right? And this is such like this is the inner work of liberation right now. Like this is the inner work. It becomes so subtle and fine. Like it's nuanced, it's precise, right? But it's big at the same time, right? Because these things that we think are small actually impact so many parts of our lives. And when we come into relationship with practice like this, we're getting into these layers of consciousness and experience, right? That maybe a lot of people don't understand, but people don't have to understand. You don't even have to understand it. You just have to do it, right? And we rely on our trust of the lineage of the Buddhas, of our benefactors, right? We rely on the expertise of our teachers. We rely on the care of community to do this intensive work, right? And you're doing work that will impact all future lives, and you're doing work that will free you from the suffering of past lives, right? Yeah. and we offer our broken hearts to the fire, right? So as we start our practice, I just want to offer or kind of go through just a little bit of offering practice like we usually do in other spaces. Mhm. But I want to begin by offering water again. Um, and so I could use a little water offering right now. So I am like warming up. So I already feel like the coolness of the water, right? Um, but as we offer this water, right, our water libation, water puja, water ceremony, right? It all means the same thing here. We imagine that this water is being poured down into the places, right, that are ready to be offered to the fire. And ceremonially, particularly in tantric ceremony and in other traditions as well, we use water to cleanse our ritual implements before we move into ceremony. Primarily hands. So if you go to a tantric ceremony, the leader will often do ceremonial hand bathing with water, right, to cleanse. And so for us, for our purposes, we're offering water to cleanse what we're preparing to offer to the fire, right? Because yes, we may be tired, and irritated by what we need to get rid of, but we still respect it. So the shame, the resentment, the trauma, the despair, the hopelessness that we're pointing towards, that's still sacred, right? Why is it sacred? Well, it's sacred because it is an expression of emptiness. Everything that arises from emptiness is sacred, right? It's ordinary, right? But it becomes sacred when we remember that the nature of everything is emptiness, and therefore all phenomena arises, right, as sacred material. So as we offer this water, we're offering to cleanse what we will be offering to the fire, but it's also we offer water to open the portals, to open the gates, water as the means through which we flow, we open, we develop intuition, clear seeing, this clear seeing related to the third eye, right? We cleanse this spiritual sight, which is just this awakening of wisdom or clarity, right? And we let the water cleanse and open, right, in preparation for the offering into the sacred fire. So join me as I offer this. And again, let the water meet and cleanse what you are planning to offer into the sacred fire. Here we go. And this is our water. And of course, when I offer water like this, then it just becomes this portal through which other energies, other spirits can move in and out of as well. So I feel the opening, right? Yeah. I'm gonna stop reading the comments because some of you think you are comedians, but all right. And so, continuing, I want to light my practice candle. If you have a practice candle, please do so. Offer that. And so, with the offering of my candle, it is the welcoming of the fire element, right? Of light, of clarity, right? But fire is also cleansing, just like water can be cleansing. Water is cleansing, and fire is also cleansing as well. So we invite the light into our practice. And as I have invited all these energies, right, into the space, I offer incense as well. And when I offer incense, it is an offering to the beings, the spirits, all the like spirits associated with water and light or fire, right? So this is an offering of something sweet, right? And be careful, when you're offering incense, let it be um, sweet incense, sweet herbs. When we say sweet, meaning that like they invite, into the space. Right. But it's also about intention, right? If we light any incense with the intention of inviting and offering, that will be what will happen. But sometimes there are herbs that like are very pungent and very sharp that we can use to drive away energies, right? But it's always the intention. The intention is to be, to offer, to be of benefit, to invite in. So this is what I am doing right now. So I'll just leave this here. And I have a little bit of incense ash beside me in my incense container. And I like to offer this into my water bowl because it is the offering of earth. It is the introduction of the earth element into ritual for me. Right? And then just a last inhale and a breath just to invite the wind and air element, right, into our practice as well. So this is how I usually, if I'm sitting in front of you, invite all the elements into the practice. And so we prepare for the practice, the ceremony. Of course, we are relying on the practice of medicine Buddha, right? So everything that we're doing is really about the healing of ourselves and our collective, right? No matter what language we use, ceremony, practice, rituals, it's about healing, right? Getting free from the suffering. And we begin here, as we move into our practice, just contemplating why we're practicing, right? That we're practicing to get free from suffering and to help others to get free from suffering, to help awaken all beings through our gradual awakening. And this contemplation and the intention we can imagine as the warmth of the sacred fire, the awakening of the sun. And so when you're ready, I invite you just to touch the seat, So noticing the weight of your body, the seat rising to hold you, letting the seat really hold you. So trusting the seat to hold you. And of course, we shift our attention to begin to touch the earth. So when we think about the land, the earth, we are touching the earth, acknowledging the earth as the sacred mother, holding, nurturing, grounding all beings. Now the earth element arises in all dimensions, both in the form realms, the physical realms, the one that we're in, as well as in the spirit realms. And we acknowledge the history of the lands that are holding us, the caretakers of our lands, the wisdom that countless, beings have invested and sowed into this land. And we pray for the awakening of this wisdom once again, the return back to the wisdom of the earth as the mother. And may the wisdom of the earth envelop us, hold us. May this wisdom nurture us as we enter into ceremony with the sacred fire, as we enter into the labor of rebirth. And then we turn our attention to the sky, right? The sky that represents the sacred father, the other half of the sacred duality that leads us back to this experience of oneness, our God, our emptiness, or the ultimate. The sky which uncovers, clears, holds, watches, protects. But when we shift our attention to the sky as the sacred father, we are also asking for the path to be cleared, for the way to be opened as well. May our practice open today, right now. May this opening be generous and fruitful. May we be blessed with what we need to get to the new world, to the new self, to the new birth. So may the earth nurture and guide us, and may the sky clear the way. And so when you're ready, we shift our attention again back to the seat, noticing your sit bones, your pelvis in particular, noticing the your tailbone, right? We find ourselves kind of moving up within the body, close to the spinal column, which is also aligned with the central column, which is the channel of energy that runs to the top of our heads down to the root chakra or the tailbone. And this main kind of channel is like a super highway where all of our life force energy, or lung or chi, depending on the tradition, kind of moves through with all the chakras that become like centers or portals of energy, and all the channels that are strung about throughout the body, moving this energy around. All of these channels um, and chakras and so forth, they constitute our energetic body, the subtle energy body. And it's subtle for a real reason because it's very hard to notice. So, this is why we're not noticing. We are experiencing the subtle energy body, feeling the energy. And of course, this subtle energy rides the breath. And when we bring awareness as well as intention to the breath, we are beginning to move or impact our subtle energy consciously and on purpose, which ironically mean the same thing. So I have a bad habit of overemphasizing terms and words. I get it from James Baldwin, though. I really do. So the breath, right? And the breath is tricky. We know the breath is tricky, right? I'm not asking for a lot of attention, just a very gentle awareness of the breath, right? And you have to determine how much you're able to work with the breath right now. But just noticing that you are breathing. And so when you're ready, we'll take a breath. We'll take a break from the breath and the subtle energy for a moment. And in your mind, right, we turn our attention to the space around us. And we begin to invite all of our benefactors into the space around us. Our benefactors are all the beings in the universe, in existence, who love us, who want us to be free, well, happy, safe. Any being, living or spirit, deity, or otherwise, animal, plants, beings that we know, beings that we don't know, historical beings, figures that we love. We invite them all. We say welcome. And it's also really helpful to just say this out loud, right? Welcome to all the beings in the universe who love me, who want me to be free. I invite you to take up the space with me and around me and for me. And we can begin to imagine or feel them slowly awakening, coming into focus around us, again, like stars, right, in the night sky. But they're taking form all around us, and they are taking form, radiating this white light around them. And this radiance, right, is the intensity of their love for us. It is their deep intention, right? It is their deepest intention to free us, to see us free, to help us get free. This is the light that they're radiating. This light is not just about them, but also about us. And we offer gratitude as our benefactors appear. We energetically radiate this gratitude out into the space all around us, on top, on bottom, all around. And they respond, our benefactors respond, they receive this gratitude, they are moved, and they begin to radiate even more intensely, so intensely that they begin to dissolve phenomena around them. That the walls, the room, whatever we think we're in, all of this arising begins to dissolve in the radiance of their love for us. And we are surrounded by this brilliant white, radiant light. And slowly we begin to imagine that their light, all this light begins to be directed, streamed right into our solar plexus, which is around our navel area, our belly button, our lower stomach, above the sacral chakra, right into the solar plexus, the chakra that's really about power and agency. It's about the warmth, right? The warmth of the digestive system, the heat of the stomach. And that light is condensing into a pearl of light, a little pearl of light right in the depth of our guts, our stomachs. And when you're ready, and if you're working with the breath, I invite you to shift your breath down to your navel or the sacral, the solar plexus, where this pearl of light is. Imagine that we're breathing in and out of the solar plexus. So bringing the breath energetically low down into the body. And if you feel like you have the capacity to continue, I invite you to inhale deeply into the solar plexus, inhaling deeply into this pearl of light. And once you complete that inhale, hold that breath in the solar plexus within that pearl of light for just about 5 seconds. And as you're holding it, feeling the intensity of that heat. And when you're ready, release it. And we're going to do this 2 more times. And the last 2 times, I invite you just to hold the breath for as long as it feels good for you. But we are holding the breath and beginning to intensify the energy in the solar plexus. and intensify this pearl of energy, right? So let's go through this two more times at your own pace. And then on the last breath, imagining that this pearl of light, as the breath and really the chi or long is being held, imagining that this pearl of light transforms into a flame, like a candle flame. So this flame is awakening through the intensity of our breath. And so one more time. And after the third breath, we imagine that this flame is active, right, down in the solar plexus. And this flame right now is white, right? It is a white flame. And so now we turn our attention to our opening mantra, um, Om La Sange Kino Soha. And as we chant this mantra, we're going to imagine that first, this flame of light turns blue, or this flame itself turns blue. And then by the third recitation, we imagine that within this flame, Medicine Buddha arises. So, Medicine Buddha, you can imagine or just trust that this is happening, but Medicine Buddha will just be a flame, not necessarily a solid figure, right? Or, the translucent figure arising within a flame, but the flame will be Medicine Buddha. So Medicine Buddha will be a flame, right? So just continuing, right? Just surrendering to the practice and seeing what happens. Okay, so we begin. We begin by chanting Om and then chanting the mantra 3 times and then chanting to complete. And by the last we will have this blue flame of Medicine Buddha awakened in our solar plexus. Okay, we begin. Om la sange no so Om la sange no so Om la sange no so So now Medicine Buddha, as this blue flame arises in our solar plexus, we can imagine Medicine Buddha, we can feel Medicine Buddha, we can just have a trust that Medicine Buddha has arisen. But Medicine Buddha has been invited and arises as the sacred flame within our solar plexus. And as we turn our attention to the main mantra, I want you to imagine that you are first beginning to offer what you need to let go of right now into the sacred flame of Medicine Buddha. And this will be for the first part of the mantra, and then we'll take a break, and we'll offer the prayers as we do. And then for the second round of the mantra, we'll do a slightly different visualization. But right now, we're offering. Right? So we're offering into Medicine Buddha, letting go, surrendering, opening, everything that we've been discussing. This is what we're practicing now as we move into the main mantra. Tateyata Om Bekenze Bekenze Maha Bekenze Rasa Sumungate Soha. Like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering, as well as the root of pain and suffering. And I dedicate and release the energy of this prayer out to all beings so that they may also be released from this suffering. May it be so. So, we begin. O te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda begenze begenze ma begenze razu sumungates oha te anda Begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. Deyana begense, begense, ma begense, ranzen sumunga de sua. And I just turn my attention to our prayer requests, and again we call again to all of our benefactors, all of the members of our celestial sacred sangha, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, the Yidams, the Dharma protectors, to all beings of light, to all the spirits and guardians of the elements, to all benevolent ancestors, right, to all energies in the universe who are here to get us free. We call to you and we offer these prayers to you so that you begin to work on our behalf while also blessing us with the capacity to bring about the fruition of these prayers as well. We begin by offering prayers that I'm able to overcome my depression and anxiety, offering prayers for my mental health, feeling sad and lonely, offering prayers for my dear friend Lisa in her last days in this world, and prayers for her mystical transition into the other realms, Prayers that I may see and embody the true self I am becoming. Prayers that I feel awakening and accountability occur as a direct result of the Epstein files release. May white folk get that this has always been foundational to the American project. May they find small groups to hold them as they begin the long, painful process of deprogramming and divesting. Prayers for N and R to be healthy, safe, and well. Prayers for everyone to get free in the next breath. Prayers for me to find balance and swag in the work I shall. Prayers for L that their final days will be in peace. Prayers for R to find her agency with regard to feeding herself and being autonomous. May the ends meet so I can complete my transition into chaplaincy. For Jay to find resources that allow her the freedom she needs. Prayers for Elaine and Lucky that they have all they need. Prayers for Hannah and the Bardo and her family grieving her, especially Jay. Prayers for Z and her son. Prayers for trans and queers beloveds. Prayers for Larry who entered the Bardo this morning. For Marge, Lori, and Laura and all their friends and family who are now in this next phase of mourning and grief. Prayers of strength and comfort for Martin and Luz, and especially for Martin's mother, who has recently started her dying process. May her journey be peaceful and easeful. Prayers for C for guidance and clarity. Prayers for B and her family as she enters the Bardo. Prayers for K, who is housebound. May she experience relief from pain and expeditious healing. Prayers for A for signs and clear guidance. Prayers for immediate financial relief and abundance to support myself and others more fulsomely. Prayers for Shirley as she journeys through the Bardo. Prayers for my dad, stepdad, mom, brother, and old friends, my current friends, and all cast oppressed people. Prayers for C, prayers for E, prayers for healing of sacral growth, prayers for trust in myself, prayers for guidance, support, protection, prayers for B as she transitions to the Bardo, prayer for JJD, progress on her cancer treatment path, and may we all find the medicine we need to get free. Prayers for my healing from my recent injuries due to a fall. Prayers for courage to be seen and connect. Prayers for integrity and courage. Prayers for all beings resisting fascism all over the world. Prayers as my rat meets our fire horse. May all beings without exception be liberated as swiftly as possible. Prayers for C as they navigate loss. Prayers for protection, for quick light as I am finding my way through a lot of darkness, and grace for my missteps along the way. Prayers for Awalua and Gassan. Prayers for strong relationship. Prayers for myself and my husband. Help us to transmute our anger so we may live lives of peace and mutual respect as we navigate our separation and divorce. Prayers for protection and courage for myself. Prayers that I continue to grow in self-love and self-acceptance, and the scars of emotional neglect and patterns of self-deprivation be fully and completely healed. Prayers for the people of Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Iran, Ukraine, and anyone experiencing systemic violence and oppression. Continued prayers for aligned work to sustain me while I am in chaplaincy school. Prayers that I let go of resistance to my true power. Prayers that this depression that I've been in for 2 years lift so that I may be rebirthed. Also, that my tendency towards addiction be burned in the fire. Prayers of forgiveness for Molly, the dog who lives outside next door. She got out of her yard and killed one of the chihuahuas who lives inside. They're always scrapping. I changed her color, so I'm taking responsibility. I don't know what direction the situation is going, but prayers for me and everyone involved. I pray and ask for prayer support for these odd, unmanageable perspectives on change that I must make now. Something is pressing up in my core, shaking off falsehoods, aligning destinies and entitlements. I pray to live in truth as I'm able to live in my honesty with courage. I pray for those who are especially vulnerable to the victimization and pray for their safety. Prayer for Patrick and his healing with and from cancer. Prayers for the families and victims of the mass violence in Tumbler Ridge, Canada, and everyone impacted and grieving. Prayers for all our dreams to come true. May we be the creative, free weirdos we want to be. Prayers for TC and A and myself as we travel together to Florida. Prayers for R and M. May they experience healing and freedom. Prayers for my friend A who is having surgery to remove a limb, and may that treat the cancer, and may she have a smooth surgery and recovery. Prayers for all hidden and isolated housebound folks with illnesses, and prayers and thank you for Lama Rod. I also continue to offer prayers for Nico, who is entering their transition from this world. I pray also for the support of all of their caretakers, including Rupi. I continue to pray for the continued recovery of my mother from surgery and recovering of my aunt from a severe stroke. I continue to lift up all the prayers that remain unspoken and that these prayers are all together lifted up to the presence and of all of our benefactors, and that we pray that all systems of violence and harm are completely abolished, and that we all remember our innate awakened nature as quickly as possible. May this be so. Having offered these prayers, we also open to the ways in which we are at this very moment being shown ways that we can continue the work of bringing about the fruition of these prayers for ourselves and our beloveds. And as we turn our attention back to our mantra, I invite you to now begin to imagine that this flame, this blue flame of Medicine Buddha rising in the solar plexus, that this energy of the flame begins to radiate throughout your body. And the radiation of this flame throughout the body is one, beginning to burn all this negative karma that needs to be burned. But secondly, this flame is beginning to align us or attune us to the coming eclipse and the energy of the fire horse as we enter into this moment of profound change. Right? So let this second part of our practice be an attunement or an adjustment to the energies that are making their way into this world system. And we continue. Ot ea daum begenze begenze ma begenze razsumungate soha ea daum begenze begenze ma begenze razsumungate soha ea daum 마빈들 안수문가레소하 베안다움 베윤제 베윤제 마베윤제 안수문가레소하 베안다움 베윤제 베근제 마베근제 라스수무 가테소하 대안다옴 베근제 베근제 마베근제 라스수무 가테소하. And so sitting with this kind of radiance, this expression of this blue flame, fire energy circulating through your body, we turn our attention now to, once again, Mother Durga, the fierce mother, the one who conquers, the one who vanquishes, the one who is fierce and terrible to those who seek to hurt us, who are not about liberation, but kind, beautiful, sweet to those who are devoted to the liberation of all beings. May she offer us protection against all those who mean us harm. May her protection extend to protecting all vulnerable communities right now who are being targeted and surveilled. As we turn our attention to her mantra, we just imagine that this flame begins to kind of radiate from our bodies, and this radiation of the flame becomes a shield of protection, a wall of protection in the spirit and the consciousness of the Great Mother. Om Jum Durgaye Namaha. We begin. Om Jum Durgaye Namaha. 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 And with that, we receive the protection of the Mother and all the great mothers. And may we leave this session with deep confidence that we are being held by all the mothers. And returning back to the energy circulating in us and around us, to all of our benefactors still holding the sacred space, we offer deep appreciation to all of our benefactors. In receiving this appreciation, they, in their appreciation, dissolve into their own radiance. And all this radiance is absorbed right down into our solar plexus, into our gut. And slowly this flame, this blue flame within us dissolves into emptiness, having cleansed and purified and awakened our subtle energy bodies as we prepare for the calming of the sacred fire and the solar eclipse. We find our way back to the seats, to the weight of our bodies, the seat rising to hold us. We connect to the earth as the mother once again, feeling a groundedness and the holding. Returning to the spaciousness of the sky as the Father above us and within us. Allowing our bodies to come back into this moment, grounded and held. Feeling the phenomenal world around us coming back into focus. We just let everything be as it has always been. Just allowing and just being within this moment, letting whatever needs to arise, realizing that we don't need anything at all. And so when you're ready, we can slowly begin to reawaken our bodies through simple movement, as well as through a few deep cleansing breaths as well. And we turn our attention to Shanti Deva's prayer, which we'll find in the chat. Okay, and we'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures, and until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for all those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. And just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach unto the ends of space. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for your practice as well. Um, and and again, you have lots of information and everything. Um, so again, go slowly, move with intention in the next day. And I'll see you again soon, even maybe tomorrow for Bless the Slay. And we'll see how we got through tomorrow night.